Hello, my name is Francisco Javier Palacios Hidalgo and I belong to the Department of English and German Philologies from the University of Córdoba in Spain. The communication I am presenting in this conference is entitled Video-Based Analysis of Pre-Service Primary Bilingual Teachers' Perceptions about the Inclusion of Gender and LGBT Issues in the English as a Foreign Language Classroom. The inclusion in education of topics concerning lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and other spectrums of sexual and gender identity continues to be a heated debate. International bodies and organizations claim the need to develop comprehensive sex and gender education across the globe as a way to train young generations appropriately with regards to their sexual health, gender identity, and well-being. To this respect, studies have proved that addressing gender identity, equality, and LGBT issues at schools does not affect students' sexual orientation or identity, and that in turn, this can help create a safe environment for all of them, regardless of their sexual or gender identity. Research has also studied teachers' misconceptions and the lack of inclusion of these topics in school materials. However, it is also limited the number of studies when analyzing teachers' perceptions about the inclusion of these topics in their lessons, despite the impact these teachers can have on the learning process of their students. Furthermore, the studies have also claimed a worrying lack of a specific teacher training in this respect and the consequent need to provide educators with appropriate tools to educate young generations. Although more scarcely, the presence of gender and LGBT issues in the foreign language classroom has also been examined, with new proposals being developed in this respect. Such is the case of the English for Social Purposes and Cooperation approach, which is basically an approach to the teaching of English as a foreign language that tackles issues with social impact, such as climate change, immigration and refugees, health emergencies, or sex and gender identity, while developing students' language abilities. For this reason, this communication and study aims to develop and shed some light on the field of teachers' perceptions regarding the inclusion of gender identity and equality, and also LGBT issues in the English as a foreign language classroom. To do so, 4 research questions are established. The first one refers to: do pre-service primary bilingual teachers think that gender identity and equality and LGBT issues should be included in the English as a foreign language classroom? The second one is: what are the reasons to address these topics at schools according to these teachers? The third one is: how would these teachers address these issues in their classrooms? And finally, what are the benefits for students and the possible associated problems of addressing these issues at schools according to these pre-service teachers? 52 students of the course of English as a foreign language for primary education teachers participated in the study, all of them belonging to the bilingual itinerary of the same subject that participate or are students of the degree in primary education of the University of Córdoba in Spain. So basically 41 were female, 10 were male, and 1 person identified themselves as a non-binary person. The majority of them were from Spain, although 2 were from Poland, 1 was from Austria, and 1 was from Finland. Also, the mean age was 21.16 years old, with the age ranging from 20 to 27 years old. So all the participants took part in a training experience in which they learned and debated concepts and ideas related to this topic, and then discussed the inclusion of these issues in the language classroom. So the experience had been planned to be implemented on site, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and it had to be developed online, considering the potential of this educational option for learning. As part of the session, the students were asked to record themselves using Flipgrid, which is a video-based discussion platform where students can express their point of view regarding a given question or topic by uploading a short video and in turn respond directly to the partners also through a video. So since they had already interacted with their classmates during the session, the participants of these studies were only asked to do their video, including their opinion regarding the topic. So they were asked to respond to two questions, which were: do you think gender identity and equality and sexual identity and orientation should be addressed in the English classroom, both or either in primary or secondary education? And the second one was: can you think, as a future teacher of English, of some examples of how talking about these topics directly or indirectly may be beneficial or harmful for your future students? So they basically have to answer to these two questions by recording a video between 1.5 minutes and 3 minutes, which was basically the instrument used for data collection. As for data analysis, content analysis techniques were applied to the participants' videos, and 3 steps were basically followed in order to gather initial information, then analyze the videos, and finally interpret this data based on the emerging categories established from the content analysis techniques. So as for the results, 6 main categories were established after analyzing the videos of the participants. The first one was referred to the inclusion of these topics in the classroom. The second one was referred to the reasons to include them. The third one consisted of how to address these topics in the classroom. Number 4 was the benefits or the potential benefits for students after including these topics and treating these topics in the classroom. And number 5 was the potential problems associated. And finally, some of them also referred to some other associated or relevant aspects. So regarding the first category, which was basically the inclusion of these topics in the classroom, 4 main opinions were identified. The main one referred to the need to address these topics cross-curricularly, that is, transversally from all the subjects of the curriculum and from all the educational stages. 27 respondents considered that it could be a good idea to include these topics in the EFL classroom. Also, 2 of the respondents considered that these topics and matters should be taught or addressed in the mother tongue, either in Spanish, Finnish, Austrian, or Polish, because they were already difficult and the difficulty could increase if they were addressed in English. And finally, only 1 respondent considered that these topics should not be included in the classroom at all. As for the reasons to include them, the main ideas identified by respondents was that these could prepare students for society, that these topics or this idea of addressing these topics could support students and also help students who may not learn about these topics at home. Also, the possibility to adapt to the real context. Also, that it was a good idea as to educate students in values, the potential for raising awareness among students, and finally, the possibility to set a good example among pupils. As for the different options or possibilities of how to address these topics in the classroom, the main possibility was to give real base examples, such as talking about homoparental or monoparental families in discussions, but they also refer to the importance of adapting these topics to the age of these students. They also refer to conversations and debates as good ideas to use in the English as a foreign language classroom. Some of them also refer to the need to address these topics indirectly rather than directly in the classroom. 3 of them consider that they should be treated continuously, while some of them also consider that they should students should be provided with specific meetings to address these topics and contents. As for the benefits or potential benefits for students, respect and tolerance was the main identified one, followed by the possibility for students to discover and accept themselves. Also, the potential for understanding diversity, reducing bullying, increasing empathy, and also increasing a feeling of inclusion for LGBT students. Also, the potential for students to learn how to fight prejudices and stereotypes after learning about these topics. The possibility for improving social relationships among students, and to create a better and safer environment for all students regardless of their sexual or gender identity. On the other hand, the potential problems associated with the inclusion of these topics were the possibility to create confusion among students and the controversies for parents after addressing these concepts. Also, the fact that young students, maybe from primary or even from pre-primary education, may not be prepared to learn about these ideas. The possible communication problems associated with addressing these topics in the English as a foreign language classroom. The possibility of increasing bullying among students, and also of increasing stress if students have experienced bad situations regarding these ideas. The difficulty of teaching these topics in English, and the possible increase of embarrassment among students and even teachers. Finally, some respondents also highlighted some other associated aspects they considered relevant for the study. So the first one was the need for more teacher training, for more specific training in this respect for teachers, because they did not know how to actually address these topics in their classrooms. And also some of them referred to the lack of inclusion of these topics. However, these results need to be interpreted in the light of three main limitations. So the first one is that results are only based on self-reported opinions of the participants, so they are basically subjectives, and in this sense, future research should contemplate using additional data gathering techniques to obtain more reliable data. The second limitation refers to the fact that analysis has been essentially qualitative, so more quantitative data could also complement the findings of these studies. And finally, only pre-service teachers located in the context of Spain have participated in this study, so in future studies, researchers should consider including a wider variety of participants in order to obtain more significant information and even develop comparisons among different contexts. So as for the main and general conclusions of the studies, it is necessary now to refer to the four aforementioned research questions established for this study. So as for the first one, a considerable number of respondents consider that gender identity, gender equality, and LGBT issues should be included as cross-curricular contents throughout all educational stages, rather than only addressed in the EFL classroom. As for the main reasons identified for addressing these topics, respondents refer to the fact that these ideas can prepare students for society, that they can also support them, and that they can help those students who may not have the chance to learn these topics at home. Regarding the third research question, the main ways to address these topics referred by respondents are giving real-life-based examples, also the need to consider learners' age before referring to these topics, and using conversation and debates in the foreign language classroom. Finally, the main benefits are the possibility to increase respect, tolerance, and empathy, and the potential for self-discovery and self-acceptance among students. But they also refer to some main problems associated with the inclusion of these topics, which are basically the possibility of creating confusion among students, creating controversies among parents, increasing bullying, and the difficulty to teach them in English. So thank you for your attention. I hope this communication has been interesting for you. So please don't hesitate to send me your comments and questions regarding this conference. and communication for this conference. So thank you.